Hello. That works. Hi, everyone. Welcome. So happy to see you here today. My name is Caroline. I am the Director of Career Services, Internships, and Alumni Engagement for the College of Global Futures. I did not bring my clicker. Allison, are you able to click me? I just have a couple slides to go over before we hand it over to our colleagues from EPA. This is the College of Global Futures Careers team. How many of you all are College of Global Futures majors? Awesome. You can meet with us anytime. We will review your resumes. We will talk about, job, career paths, anything that you are interested in doing related to this specifically. We hope that you will be applying for the summer 2025 Pathways Internship Program with the EPA. Come see us, get your materials reviewed before you submit them. Next slide, please. For those of you who are not CGF specific majors, please visit your career services team or ASU Career Services. Wherever you are housed, you have these support services. So we look forward to meeting with you. Next slide, please. And Career Exploration Day. I wanted to let you know about this. This is our big signature event that we will be holding next week, Wednesday, the 13th. It will be here in the auditorium and the courtyard from 4 to 6:30. We will have over 20 local organizations coming to meet with ASU students about internship and job opportunities that they have. And this is kind of specifically related to sustainability, innovation, complex adaptive systems, and so on. So check it out. The organizations are listed there on the registration page. So I think that's, oh yeah, that's kind of just my intro slide. The career services, our team, welcoming the EPA to come and meet with you all today. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on to our guests. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining. I'm so glad you took time out of your day and came to meet with us. We are excited to be here, excited to talk to you about the internship opportunities that we have throughout EPA. And specifically, the Region 7 team came to see you today. So we're excited to talk about our robust internship program, specifically at Region 7. So I just want to talk a little bit about who we are, what our mission is, talk about the Pathways program and internship opportunities. We're going to talk about how do you apply, where do you find those opportunities, and then we're going to save time at the end for all of your questions, and hopefully we have answers for them. Okay, so what do we do? Our mission is to protect human health and the environment. So it is a mission that we are passionate about, that we have impact in our local communities. It's what we do every day, and we get to interact with our communities and ensure that we have clean drinking water, safe playgrounds. And so we are excited that we get to talk to you today because we know that that resonates with you in your programs here at ASU. So I'm gonna leave some of this stuff for our colleagues to talk about those that are in some of the programs like grants and what they actually do. So I'll save that for them. But why join EPA? We have purpose and we have impact. So we have passion with our purpose. We come to work, we know we have a purpose, we know what we're doing, we know why we're here, and we get to impact those around us. We embody diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. So we really think that different people bring different things to the table, different conversations, different educations, different backgrounds, different ways of thinking leads to greater collaboration and better results ultimately. We have an unparalleled work-life balance. What does that mean? It means that we have flexible schedules. It means that we have hybrid environments. So we come to the office a couple days a week, and then we can work from home or work from another job site. We have growth opportunities. We are constantly growing and providing opportunities. So if you join the EPA and you are really happy and excited about your job that you're doing, but something over here sparks your interest, there's usually a way to go and get some exposure to that. So we really like to create those opportunities within our organization and ensure that we have some cross-training across our organization. Salaries and benefits. So yes, we do make a salary. We do earn an income working for the EPA, but in addition to the salaries, we have a lot of benefits. We have 11 paid holidays. We have sick leave. We earn sick leave. We earn annual leave that we can take throughout the year. We have paid paternity leave, maternity leave. We have, let's see, 401k. Basically, it's called a thrift savings plan for us, but it's basically a 401k with agency matching. We have health benefits, life benefits, vision, dental. So we have a huge benefits package in a retirement system that is in addition to the salaries that you see. So there's a couple ways to enter into the federal government. You might have heard that it's not the easiest process, but these are the ways that are the easiest to get into the federal government. One, a pathway student training opportunity. And this is what we're really here to talk about to you as current students. We encourage you to consider a pathways internship. It is a paid experience with the EPA. You come on and you can work. We typically have you come on during the summer. You can work through the fall semester or the spring semester if you choose. If you don't want to, then that's okay too. And then we bring you back again throughout your course of your education. So the requirements here are that you must be enrolled at least half-time, and you must maintain a cumulative GPA average of 2.5 out of a 4.0 scale. And the biggest benefit to having an internship is when you apply for the program as an intern, you apply through a competitive process. So what that means is you submit your application, you compete against others, and if you're selected, you're brought into the federal government. You become a federal employee. Once you graduate, we have an opportunity, if there is a position, and if you are interested in continuing your employment, we can convert you non-competitively to a permanent full-time employee. So you don't need to compete. You don't need to submit another application. It's a conversation between you and your supervisor to talk about what your goals are, your career goals, your education goals, and how we can make them work together. So this is a really big advantage because you compete in the interim upfront, and then you have that conversion ability at the end of your graduation. So what typically students come in, our pay is on a scale, it's called a general schedule scale, GS. You typically come in as a 3 or a 4, GS 3 or 4. You stay as a GS 3 or 4 through your internship. Once you graduate, depending on if you graduate with a bachelor's or a master's, then you're converted to a 5, 7, or 9. And then after that conversion, every year you go up a grade level, up a pay scale. And an intern with EPA, our full performance level is a 12 or a 13, depending on the position. So you automatically are eligible for that career promotion potential because you applied today and you got an internship today. So you have already built in career promotion potential into the job by applying through the internship program. Another way, and so then we do offer, and we do encourage you to entertain these ideas early in your education career. There is no time too soon to start thinking about it. So freshmen are welcome to apply. Seniors are welcome to apply as well. The caveat with seniors, those going into the senior year, is that we do have an hour, it's 480 hours that you are required to work in your internship before we can convert you. So we just want to make sure that when you come on board, you have enough time to obtain those hours, those 480 hours, so you would be eligible for conversion. So that's the only consideration of a senior, but I don't want that to dissuade anybody from applying. It's a great opportunity. So the next one, the career path, the recent graduates, that's another option. So if you have graduated within the last 2 years, you are eligible under that program to apply for positions. And those are dedicated just to the students within the last 2 years. And again, those also may be, you would have a 1 to 2 year program as a recent graduate, and then you would be eligible for a conversion to a permanent full-time employee after that program as well. So in addition to those 2 programs, we have some other special hiring authorities and paths that can allow you access into the federal government entry. We have veterans hiring authorities. We have persons with Schedule A, so persons with disabilities, and then Peace Corps and AmeriCorps or VISTA. Those can also be non-competitive appointments. And just with those, you would have to maintain your eligibility and provide documentation to support your eligibility of those programs. So what is a Pathways intern? What does it look like? So it's current students. Again, you have to be in at least part-time education. And it's an opportunity for you to try out our organization and for us to try you out as an employee. You come into our organization, you get to work on meaningful projects. We don't put you in a file room and ask you to shred papers and file things. You get to work with the scientists and the engineers and the biologists, and you get to go into the field, you get to do outreach, you get to do projects. So it's really important that we have that collaboration between the student and our organization. We're hoping that we get to learn from you as students just as much as you can learn from our staff. So the program is flexibility. Like I said, we really want to make sure that we find you the right home and the right fit for you. There is a place for everybody at EPA. We have all different kinds of career fields. So if you are accepted into our internship program and you are really enjoying it, you may continue to make that a lifelong career. If you see something else that you are interested in, we will do our best to help you achieve those results and those goals as well. So typically for us, we bring our interns in the summer. We bring them in as a cohort. So you would typically apply. We'll talk about the timeline of things, but you would come in the summer. You would work as a cohort. We have some sessions scheduled for you, some training opportunities, some work projects, and you get to collaborate across your cohort and within the organization. And then we have opportunities for you to work throughout the rest of the semester if you choose to do that, or you can take that time off. You can still remain an employee of ours, go back to school, and then come back and see us again the following summer without competing again. So first time, let's compete once, and then you have a lifelong path of federal employment opportunities. So for Region 7, for our next summer internship opportunities, we will be posting announcements later this month. So what that means is our announcements are coming out in November. They're going to be open for about 2 weeks, and they're going to have an application limit on it. So we encourage you to prepare your resumes now, to think about what you're interested in, and then be ready to apply in a couple weeks when our announcements hit the streets. Okay, so where do you apply? All of our jobs are posted on usajobs.gov. It's a search engine. I'm sure you're all familiar with search engines. You can search by so many different things and apply a lot of different filters. So you can search by what title are you interested? Am I interested in biology? Am I interested in chemistry? For student opportunities, you can just put student and it'll bring up, you can put pathways, it'll bring up pathways announcements. You can search by location. You can search by, you can actually save your search and have the usajobs.gov email you opportunities that match your search criteria. So you can request those. The important thing to do is, first up is sign up you have a login.gov account, set that up, log into USA Jobs. We recommend that you use a personal email We recommend that you do not use a school or a work email because you will probably not have those email accounts for the rest of your career. And you want to make sure that your account is accessible to you even after you graduate. So once you create a profile, you're going to have a couple opportunities. You're going to upload a resume and additional supporting documentation that is available. And so you can also look, and again, you can use the search feature to look for specific jobs. The application process. Again, we want to emphasize plan ahead now. So make sure you're working on your resume. Sign into USA. It's not too early to sign into usajobs.gov today, tonight, tomorrow. Set up your account. Make sure that you have the information on there that you want to share. So you do want, it takes about 30 minutes to set up an account, so you want to make sure you have that time. And then once you apply, so once you actually submit your application, you will probably also need to, you would review what we call a vacancy announcement. So it's our posting, it's our job posting, a vacancy announcement. And you would review the vacancy announcement, and there's a couple sections on there. You want to read the whole thing. You want to look at what is the specialized experience needed, what are the required documents, and you want to make sure that you have addressed all of those in your application packet. So you want to make sure your resume talks about experience, and that might be work experience, that might be customer service experience, that might be a club activity. Maybe you're a president of a club, or you lead a committee of some kind. You can use that as experience. And then you want to make sure that you will have a copy of most student applications require transcripts. And if unofficial transcripts are acceptable for the application process, if you are selected for a position, then we would verify with official transcripts. But so those are some documents that you'll want available as your resume and your transcripts. And then you'll also want part of your resume, if you don't have it on your resume, references. You're going to want at least 2 academic references and 1 personal reference. Contact information. You don't need written statements, but just contact information. So if you are selected for an interview, our hiring officials can contact your references. Once you apply, it takes a few weeks. It takes several weeks. So our applications are open in November. We won't receive a list with your name on until probably end of December, early January. So we're not even going to see your name until later, possibly even next calendar year. After that, your names get sent to our selecting officials, your names and resumes. They do a resume review. They look at that. They evaluate the needs of the organization. How many positions are we ready to bring on? How many interns do we need to help fulfill our mission? And then they start interviews. So for Region 7 specifically, we're going to have about 7 announcements open, 5 announcements, 7 lists, depending on the grade level, the entry level. And so it'll take a while for us to get through 7 lists, but the goal is that, and you are welcome to apply to any and all of them. I don't want you to think that you can't apply. If you are eligible and qualify, and again, you have to be a full-time student or at least a half-time student and have a GPA of 2.5. That's your minimum eligibility requirement. Please feel free to apply to multiples if that's your desire. The names get sent to the selecting officials, they review the resumes, then they schedule interviews, they contact your references, and if you're selected, you will hear much faster from us because we are engaged in that interactive process and onboarding you. If you are not selected, it will take probably until April or May before you might hear the non-selection. And that will come in your usajobs.gov account. So you want to monitor your USA Jobs account for the activity and the responses. So all of the status will be updated in that profile. Okay, so again, you're going to have a resume. When you're submitting your resume, you're going to have an online questionnaire. And the questions differ. The number of questions differ and the type of questions differ. But some of the questions might be, please describe your experience with customer service. And then the answers are, I'm considered an expert. I don't know anything about customer service, and there's a variety of responses. So they're going to be experience-based questions. Supporting documentation, again, you're going to want your transcripts. We may request proof of enrollment in addition to transcripts if it's not a current version of your transcripts. And then proof of any claims. So if you're saying that you have a bachelor's degree and you're currently in your master's program, we may ask you for your degree, proof of your bachelor's degree, and then enrollment for your master's program. So again, here's the application process and the timeline, kind of what it looks like. We're here in November. We're going to submit applications. Again, our announcements are opening up in a couple weeks. HR will do some screening, make sure the minimum qualifications are met, that you have all of the documentation that is required for that. So your resume, your transcripts. Share with the applications with the hiring officials in January, looking at interviews in February, making job offers in March and April. And our goal, our target goal, is to have you come on board in May and early June. So we want our cohort of 2025 interns to start May and early June. So if you have any questions about our careers, the top link is EPA careers. So it's epa.gov/careers. You can find our jobs. This is a search filter. If you go to the USA Jobs link that's at the bottom bullet, that we've already done the search feature for you. So it has already identified all of EPA jobs and narrowed out any other federal jobs. So if you want just EPA jobs, that's a great link. And then we wanted to make sure that you knew who we were. So again, we wanted to provide some information about where can you find more about what we do, what types of projects we're working on. So the regions that we have an agreement with the school, a partnership with the school, is Region 2, Region 7, which is us, and Region 9. So available to look at more information about us. So on that, we're going to open it up to Meg.
Good job, Jolene. That's the second time I've heard her do that today, and it's just such great information. Hi, everyone. My name is Meg McAllister. I'm the Region 7 Administrator. I thought I would do a quick kind of high-level context of what that means. So EPA is, obviously, we're a federal agency. We have our headquarters office in Washington, D.C., and then we have 10 regional offices. We are all from Region 7. We cover Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and 9 tribal nations. Our office is in the Kansas City area. And then, as you can see up here, EPA regions 2, 7, and 9, the reason that those are relevant is because we actually did a formalized partnership with ASU earlier this year called a Memorandum of Understanding with EPA regions 2, 7, and 9, because we would like to offer engagement and facilitation and, of course, internships for you for all of those agency-wide, but specifically with those regions. So 2 is headquartered in New York, and 9 is headquartered in San Francisco. Our mission, as Jolene has already highlighted, is to protect human health and the environment. So what does that mean? We do a lot of work, obviously, with environmental issues. We clean up contamination. We do inspections, enforcement, and compliance. We have public affairs specialists who talk about all of those things. We have a lot of public meetings to make sure that people in communities understand what's happening, the work that we're doing in their communities. And one thing that we've really been leaning into a lot more in the last couple of years is we have a new Office of Environmental Justice and External Civil Rights that's in headquarters. And then in each of our 10 regions, we have a coordinating division where we talk a lot about environmental justice at EPA, and we do a lot of that environmental justice work and that community engagement. So we now have also a lot of people who are doing that true on the ground in communities engagement to both talk to them about the work that we're doing, but also to listen and to understand what people's needs are and how we can help partner with either local communities, local government, state partners. We all have state environmental agencies that we partner with, and also with universities like ASU to be able to work together to support communities. Getting back to regions, I'll speak more to Region 7 specific, and of course the whole agency is really wonderful. We do have the ability to have a lot of impact directly in our communities, and that is just a really personally fulfilling thing. I know that everyone who works at EPA is very mission driven and very committed to protecting human health and the environment. And also in the regions, we're more of kind of the boots on the ground implementation. We get to see that change happen. We get to see those impacts, and that's just an incredible thing. We also have a really great work-life balance that Jolene has already highlighted, but I really wanted to emphasize that because it's something that our senior leadership really cares about, is making sure that the people who work at EPA have the ability first to be their best selves, to take care of themselves, because if you are not your best, if you don't feel at your best, it's really hard to give your best to other people. And we have a lot of people in communities who are counting on us to do things like make sure they have clean water to drink and clean air to breathe. And those are just really critical things that we need to make sure that we are at our best so that we can do the best that we can for communities. I was once an intern at EPA Region 7. That was a long time ago, but I am proof that you can be an intern and then eventually become the leader. So we also have a number of people specifically in our region who have gone through the internship program. It has gone through variations over the years. That we have one in particular who is a recent Pathways intern. Louisa is here to share a little bit about her experience. So I will have her come up, and then we'll both be here. Any of us can answer any questions that you have, and then we'll provide more comments as things come up. Okay, I'll turn it over.
Okay, thank you, Meg, everyone. Thank you. Okay, I'm Luisa Brazil, and I'm gonna just be sharing about my experience coming from my last year of college in Kansas into the agency as an intern, and then converting to be a full-time employee. Okay, before I get into that, I wanted to add to Meg was listing out things we do at EPA. And one of the biggest things we do is we distribute money through grants to states, to tribes, to counties, to cities, so that they can get that work out, more directly. So my full-time job right now is being a grant specialist. I do grant administration. I get to review grant budgets, verify applicant eligibility, and help negotiate some of the terms of the work plan, and get that money out into the community, into the states. Okay, so then I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I went to a small university in Kansas. It's called Haskell Indian Nations University. I studied environmental science, and I was also studying to get a biology teaching certification. And I was like, I'd love to have a government internship experience if I could. So I happened to check my email over winter break, and my university had notified us that EPA Pathways internships were out, and they closed in 4 days. So I scrambled to make my USA Jobs account, put my resume together, following all the rules or the instructions. It's a little meticulous, but just persevere. I sent it in. Time went on. I kind of forgot that I had applied. And in March of that next year, I got a phone call for an internship. And I was planning to move to Washington, D.C. for the summer for other things. So I was like, I'll take the internship just for good experience, but I probably wouldn't like stay in Kansas for an internship. Well, my interview, I loved it. Like, I loved the questions they asked me. I love what I got to learn from the people interviewing me. And so later I got like a call about a soft offer, and then later filled the paperwork out and did all the background check stuff, and then was able to start as an intern the summer of 2021. And I'll kind of describe like some of what I did in my internship. Is anyone familiar with Superfund sites? Okay, so I was placed in Superfund division on lead mining, contamination cleanup in Missouri and Kansas. And so I had studied that in my classes in toxicology. So then I got to go work for EPA, learning how EPA handles that huge like issue. And it was fascinating. And my mentor and my manager, they were available to answer my questions. And I was given like meaningful work as an intern. So one of my projects was, Louisa, we have these old Superfund sites. We don't have like active work going on with them right now. Can you go back through and read the records, figure out what happened, where they left off, and what we need to do next? And so I was like, okay. And I figured out, after hours of going through these records, what we needed to do. I like briefed my manager, and he said, okay, start that next phase, doing 5-year reviews on these sites. And I was like, all right. And so that's just an example of like my time as an intern meant something, like whether or not I was going to continue on, I had meaningful work to do. Jolene also talked about the cohort. So I got to work closely with other interns working at EPA Region 7 from other universities. So we could like rely on each other when we were kind of confused or uncertain about something. And we had projects with each other and then also individual projects. And then as an intern, like, I think it should always be a safe place to ask questions, but as an intern especially, like, you can ask as many questions as you need to because you're just not sure of how it works, and that's welcome to EPA. And then the culture of like the employees and just of the organization at all was like very professional, but also very warm and welcoming, and not like intimidating, it's really reassuring about like you're here for a reason and we value like your voice and your input. So then Jolene talked about how you have to meet a certain amount of hours to be eligible to convert. So I was in my last year of school, and I worked full time that summer for EPA and got, however many hours that equaled. But I had a lot to get done over the school year. And I was given 8 hours in the fall that I could work while doing class. But that wasn't going to be enough for me to reach the amount that I needed. So just to tell you how much I loved working for EPA, I dropped out of student teaching because I was like, I want to work for EPA. So I dropped that, and then I was able to get the rest of my hours done. And it worked out that they had like a position open for me to be able to convert at the end when I graduated in 2022. And I just absolutely love it. Reading the regulations can sometimes like be a little dry, but you persevere because you have people you're doing it with and you know why you're doing it. So if I can be excellent in my grant administration and understanding the regulations, then we expedite getting that money out to the states and to the tribes. And I get to interact with people at the states and with the tribes or cities or communities. And I love it. So that's my spiel. Thank you so much. And I really hope you apply. It's awesome. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so she asked me to speak on my mentorship experience, like when I was working with other interns. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I had an assigned mentor that I met with really frequently. He was really generous with his time. So at least once a day we talked, and I could ask him my questions. We'd check in on my projects. And then also once a week we had a meeting with all of our like Superfund division interns, and usually someone from another office would come in and like kind of present and tell us about what they do in the region. So you learn a lot about like the other opportunities at EPA. So maybe you're in your internship and you're like, this position is not for me. Well, you'll learn about other things that might be a better fit for you. And then you can talk to your manager and be like, hey, I'd like to maybe learn more about that, or maybe do a little bit of time with those kind of projects. And then the region, Tony and other people from HR like put together great opportunities for us to learn from like the attorneys. Oh, and yeah, I got to work so much with the attorneys. I couldn't believe how like accessible the attorneys were, and that I would just set up my own meetings with them and like ask them my questions, and they, you know, they took me seriously. Like it was so cool. And what else about mentoring? Yes. Okay. So all of the regional or like headquarters offices for EPA, we have special emphasis programs for the employees. So we have like federal women's employee group, or Hispanic employees, Black employees, LGBTQ, veterans. Like there's numerous, there's like 13 or so of them. And I went to a tribal college. I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm a member of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. And so I'm involved with the American Indian Alaska Native community. So we have a special emphasis program for our group. So I joined that. That provided great like community to me. And then I've also become like the manager of that group now. So 20% of my time gets to go towards that. Happy Native American Heritage Month, by the way. So for example, in that role, I got to pull together an event about federal Indian law. So I got to find outside speakers to come speak to our region about federal Indian law and tribal sovereignty, and help our staff just deepen that understanding and that awareness and take answers and questions. And then we've also had like more interns from my university come into the agency, and I've been able to help facilitate some mentoring for them, or plan an event next week where the students are going to come into the office. And I've just been entrusted with like a lot of great responsibility, but with great support as well. And the work-life balance is fantastic. My leave benefits are great. My healthcare, like I just have so many good things to say about it. I think that's why they asked me to come. Let's see, anything else I should touch on?
That we can, oh, sorry. And I thank you, because I know we have some people online too. Most importantly, we want to be here to give you this information and kind of a flavor, you know, for what we're like at EPA, that what the work is like, what the culture is like, but to answer any of your questions. So we have a wide variety of people here who can do that. Yes, I see one hand. Just, do they need microphones? I don't know what the protocol is here. Well, okay, that's an interesting question. So generally, and no, that's an excellent question though, especially this week. So, I will say the one elephant in the room, you know, for all of us is I am a presidential appointee, so I personally will be having to leave my position on January 20th. That is normal. This happens every single time there is an election. So a new person will come in, and that happens every time. So we are a well-oiled machine. We have incredible transition plans. Our work will continue. The mission stays the same no matter what. So I'll just go ahead and I'll say that. There are some interesting, I would say, restrictions or limitations. Yep, that's a fair characterization on how you can't be political while you are wearing your official I'm an EPA employee hat. So I don't actually know how active people are in their personal lives, but I know that there are plenty of them who are very active. Even if it's not because it's specifically you're politically active, but you become more engaged in community issues. I know a lot of people volunteer for specific issues that they care about in their own local communities. So from that respect, I'd say you have a lot of people who are mission driven, who are probably predisposed to wanting to be very engaged anyway. Sure. Yeah.
For lack of a better word. Oh. Let's just say I'm kind of bland, for lack of a better word, when it comes to like who I am and what experience I've got. I wouldn't really have references. Is there like any shot in a million years of landing an internship with the EPA?
Of course. And Tony is jumping up like she wants to say something, so I'll give her a chance to do that.
Hi, I'm Tony Gargis, and for the last 4 years, I have been one of the people who's run the intern program and also worked as a management official and done selections. So I will tell you, when we review resumes, the things we're looking for, we know you're not going to come in and be able to do Luisa's job and be able to manage grants. So we're looking for things on your resume like if you have experience at McDonald's and you have served burgers and fries, that's okay. But tell us about your customer experience. How did you interact with the public? Those are the things that we're looking for. If you were in retail, did you organize? Did you run a cash register? The things that will translate into professional work, because we can train you. We just need to know that you have some basic skills like organization, customer service, working with the public.
And I will just further a little bit, you know, if you say you're bland, one thing that I would like to highlight that we really specifically appreciate is that everyone in our office, no matter who they are, what they're like, their personality brings more diversity to an overall inclusive culture. We talk a lot about, you know, diversity and equity and inclusion, and we really feel like celebrating all of those things helps create a greater sense of belonging for everyone.
Okay, we have a question here.
Hi. I know with recent news, and not to kind of like address the elephant in the room and not to be political, but with the recent news of Trump's reelection, would we be able to see a possible like difference with the EPA in the future, or are we going to see anything with that? Possible downsizing, possible reductions in funding? Can you talk on that?
Obviously, we don't know, but our funding comes from Congress. You know, they're the ones who vote on, you know, the laws that we then have to implement. So the work continues. Certain individuals have been in that office before, and the work has continued. So they will, the whole staff, the career staff, they stay focused on their programs. They know what work they have to do. We work very closely with our state partners all over the country, and we work with states who are focused on all kinds of things and have all kinds of leadership, and they're still focused on programs where they're making sure that they're doing air monitoring to make sure people have clean air. So it's not just us by ourselves working on that, where our programs are integrated with other partners around the country.
Thank you. Hi, I just have a quick question. I understand you have an MOU with Region 2 and 9. Does that mean the 7 listings will be available for various locations? Are there remote options? Just kind of wondering on like location-wise, especially in the summer.
Sure. So I'll kick off, and then I'm sure Tony will want to jump on this too. So the 7 postings that Jolene referenced, or is it 5 or 7? 5, but we'll get 7 lists. Okay, that is for Region 7 specifically. Region 2 will have their own postings. 9 will have their own postings. All of the headquarters offices will have their own postings. So there will be a lot of them. What am I forgetting? Tony?
So in recent years, the last couple of years, EPA has put a real emphasis on bringing in students through the Pathways program. So it's a priority for the agency. And in November, I believe there will be a lot of listings posted, not just for regions 2, 7, and 9, but you may see multiple headquarter offices posting for students, as well as the other 7 regions that aren't listed up there. So be on the lookout for that. And when we say internships, you'll be wanting to look under student trainee. When you go into USA Jobs, it's under student trainee. And then as Jolene talked about the importance of having the cohort, you need to come into the office during the summer. A couple of days, a pay period at least, depends on the work that you're doing. Like we have students in our laboratory that have to come in 5 days a week. We have students who are doing some policy work that come in 2 days per pay period or 1 day per week kind of thing. It's not an option to do remote work as a student during the summer. We do have a telework policy that during the school year, we are able to offer remote work. So if you are from ASU and you come to us and you come back to Arizona in the fall, there's a way through telework that you can work remotely for us instead of having to come back to Kansas every couple of weeks.
I have a quick question related to that. Do you know if that's the same policy for all the regions? Like if they got an internship with Region 9, do you know if they also have that?
Yes, so as a student, you do have to have in-person days, and that does vary depending on the position. But that is a requirement because it's a training and a developmental program, the interaction amongst the cohorts and the interaction with the staff is really critical to be in person, and we found that to be successful. So yes, at EPA as a whole, it would be in person.
Potentially during the school year, they could still do some remote hours.
Yep, so the option would be like if you came and you hung out with us in Kansas for the summer 2025, then you come back to Arizona for your fall semester and you want to continue working a few hours through that fall semester, we would allow telework. But the goal is then in the summer of 2026, you're going to come back and you're going to visit us back in Kansas. So we really want to continue that collaboration and that engagement.
Okay.
Thank you. Kind of in that similar vein, if you do get an internship with like, let's say Region 7, and you're wanting to transition into a full-time job, is there a possibility of being able to move to a different region, or are those staying in the same one?
Yes, if we want to match you with your right job and the right location. And if it's not staying with us, we really hope to maintain your expertise and match it with another organization. The Pathways program is a federal program. So once you meet your eligibility for conversion, you can convert to any federal agency without further competition. So it is a federal program, and so it does span across not just EPA but the federal government. So we have a 59% conversion rate in Region 7. We currently have 29 interns. 27 of them are working part-time during the fall, and yeah, we're going to work closely with them. But we have placed others in other regions and other federal agencies.
And just to expand a little bit on that further, once, let's say you went through that and you were to be converted and you converted to a full-time position in Region 7, you can then later on say, I want to go, to Region 5 in Chicago, or I'm interested in shifting over to a different agency. So once you're in, it's a lot easier to move around as positions become available.
Here?
So I have a question regarding those who are about to graduate or recent alumni. What are the other opportunities besides like student internship opportunities for finding jobs with the EPA?
Yeah, so you're still going to look at usajobs.gov. That's going to be your primary source. So as I mentioned a little bit previously, recent graduates. So as long as you've graduated within the last 2 years, you are eligible for a recent graduate, and that would be a separate posting. So you would look for a recent graduate posting, and that would be then just for those students. Then we have special hiring paths. So those, if you don't meet any of those eligibility requirements, and let's say you're beyond the 2 years, we do have positions that are open to the public. We do advertise them. They're open to the public. Anybody that meets the qualifications can apply for them. It's just that it is easier, the qualifications and the expertise, experience needed for entry positions are much lower. So it's an easier way into the federal government, but we do have public in those postings too.
And I think you mentioned earlier that for some roles, it is possible to apply for those recent graduate positions, maybe within, did you say like 9 months of graduation?
Yeah, so the recent graduates, if you're anticipating to be graduating within the next 9 months, you could and should start looking now because our application and the review process does take a long time. So typically, we would then hold your appointment until you have met the eligibility of graduation, and then we can bring you on board.
I do want to do like 1 or 2 online questions. Sorry to interrupt. Just because people here, we can chat outside after. So one question is, what exactly does the partnership with ASU do with regard to the application? Is there a benefit to applying to regions 2, 7, and 9 because of that partnership? Or could a student get equal opportunity to other regions?
So the MOU gives us a foot in the door to do these kind of sessions with you guys. With student engagement, we get to come in, tell you about USA Jobs. We did a resume writing workshop for Caroline and some of the other career counseling services folks earlier this morning. It will also give access to the university, to some of our employees to come in and guest lecture, things like that. It does not give anybody a leg up or more opportunity just because you're an MOU school when you start to apply. It's just an engagement tool for us as well as the university. Jolene, is there anything I missed?
I think that's about it. We select the best qualified candidate for the position.
I think this is a great opportunity to mention the partnership and how it benefits our students in terms of, like, I just went through a training this morning and I learned a lot of stuff, and I'm going to continue to learn that, and I'm connected with you guys now. So to me, what that also means is you have a leg up in a sense of you can come meet with me and I can tell you about it and I can review your resume and I can let you know when these are posted and that type of thing, which I think will help our students. So that's what we are here for. So keep that in mind, regardless of which region that you might be looking at, we can help you with that. So
Good for one more online question? Okay. Let's see. So it was listed that you're looking for a biologist. Are there particular branches of biology or is it broad?
So that one's a difficult, biology, so it's going to be position specific. For interns, we're looking for any type of biology at this point. We want to engage with you as students, help you and have you connected with our staff and kind of learn and develop, and maybe they can career coach you as well throughout your college career. But so at the entry level, it's not as specific. If it were a full-time permanent position, then there is specific, it would be position specific. So what exactly are you looking to do? And that would be you would look at the requirements in that position to determine what type of education and what science classes you need to meet those requirements.
I know we touched on this a little bit before, but I just wanted to highlight that you don't have to be a scientist to work at EPA. You don't have to be a scientist to apply for an internship at EPA. I know that we have a lot of scientists. I just wanted to reiterate the point that that doesn't have to be your educational background. I was a history major and then I went to law school. I think maybe we only have two actual scientists here with us today from EPA. So you can do a lot of things if you don't have a science degree. Yeah.
Hi. Okay. So you talked about more like human health related projects and maybe like social justice, which is obviously great. But as someone with a science background, could you talk about more of your like research projects, environmental projects, any like rehabilitation, just in that general?
Sure, just like some of the programs that we have. Oh gosh, okay. So we do a lot. So she talked about the Superfund program a little bit. That's more like we do emergency response if there's a mercury spill. We have, long-term lead sites that need to be cleaned up. We do air monitoring in communities and a lot of work again with our state partners to make sure that, the state implementation plans incorporate, a certain amount of controls for power plants. We have a lab. Oh my goodness, we have a lab. We actually have the #1 lab out of all the regions, I'll just say, for the 3rd year in a row. So that's really great. We run samples. We do a lot, obviously, with data. We do a lot of sampling for our tribes who are in the region. We support our communities and our state partners with sampling. We have a mobile lab. What's the water one that we deploy for? Oh, the WOW cart. I don't remember. Water on Wheels cart. Thank you. I can't remember all these things. That's why we all have to be here together to answer the question.
So if you're interested in research, EPA has an Office of Research and Development. So, none of us work for that office. Look them up and you'll be able to see a lot more of that kind of work that they do. And Office of Research and Development has staff like dispersed among all the different regions. So when I worked in Superfund, we had a full-time Office of Research and Development person helping our Region 7 Superfund staff kind of develop like our processes. And then also sometimes you can like apply to do a research study and I didn't say this earlier, but there is I'm constantly absorbing like information in a good way at EPA. Like there's always an exciting like webinar or like information session about, some kind of science related thing. And that's real, I love that. That's really cool.
Meg also stated about the deployments. Recently, we had the Hurricane Helene, and we deployed some people there. Can you hear me? Oh, and we deployed some people there. I'm an engineer by trade. My degree is electrical engineering. I've been at EPA for about 16 years, and I really enjoy the work I do, giving back to the community. I think somebody asked about science, and there's science and engineering, there's accounting, there's a number of different fields that EPA is always looking for. So I would also encourage you to apply and make sure you read the entire job description, read the entire USA Jobs format. It's really has a lot of information in there.
Okay, we'll do one more question.
Hi. So if you wanted to go into environmental like law and policy, what would an internship at the EPA look like, or what could that be like if you don't have like a science background?
So I actually was an intern at EPA during law school. So we do, and at least when I did it, and actually it's probably still the same now, that means you can either do an internship with our regional council. So we have a whole team of like 50 lawyers in our office, or you can do more of the policy work, even if you're in law school. If you're going to go, if you're doing an internship and then you want to go to law school, that's also great. You wouldn't be able to be in the regional counsel's office as an intern if you are not already in law school. But also happy to talk plenty more about that in the networking session if you want, because I got my emphasis in environmental law and thought it was great.
We also have a group in our office that is now under the regional administrator. It's called the Policy, Partnership, and Integration Branch. And they do like our strategic planning, continuous improvement. When new policies come out, this is the group that helps the programs implement. So there's that. If and most of those folks have degrees in like public administration, something like that. So if you're not looking to go the legal route, we have that type of policy work as well. It's PPIB, the Policy, Partnership, and Integration Branch.
Great, thank you so much. This is going to conclude our formal presentation, but for those of you that are here present with us in the room, we are going to move outside. We have these 5 wonderful experts with us until like 5 o'clock. You can talk to any of them, all of them, to continue the conversation and ask your questions. We will follow up with you both online and students in person that RSVP'd. I'll send you a kind of a summary, like letting you know when these applications open. And again, just want to remind you all to come and visit with us and get this ready. We really want to encourage our students to apply for these awesome opportunities and help you be competitive for these programs. So I think that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone online who attended with us. And people online, if you feel like you didn't have your questions answered or anything, please respond to us and we'll be happy to get back to you and make sure that your questions are answered as well. Thank you so much.